I think that we will get started. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. I feel like I can still say that. We're still somehow in January, so happy 2025, everyone. We're really excited to welcome you to our 19th UG2 webinar. Today, we will have a fantastic presentation seminar on the World Ocean Database. Next slide, Cassie. But first, as always, as UG2 coordinator, I have a few updates for the community, which I will share. And then, as I said, we'll spend pretty much the entire webinar today with Alexey Mishonov, who will be presenting on the World Ocean Database, and then also running through some practical examples. So please come up with some questions. It's amazing to have him here. So please, yeah, as I said, come up with questions and we can really utilize this time together. And then I'll finish with just a really quick business wrap up. Next slide, Cassie. As always, I like to start these webinars with a shout out to the steering committee for UG2 that works behind the scenes. We meet fairly regularly as a group, and we are working now hard to meet some of the action items that came out of the workshop last year. So just want to recognize all of these people that give up their time to ensure that we are making progress as a community. Next slide. My updates today, because it is the beginning of the year, I just wanted to share some of the events that we have already in the calendar. Believe it or not, we are planning or starting to plan the 2026 workshop. Our goal is to finalize the location and the month within the next month, which we'll then share with everybody so that you can have that in your schedule and sort of work with travel budgets with plenty of time. We're looking at either May of 26 or September of 26. So just keep an eye out on emails and Slack for that notification within the next month. The next thing, one of my goals this year as coordinator is to visit with some of the labs and universities that run these amazing glider programs and glider research. This is really my chance to have that one-on-one interaction with these different groups and really hear what else I can help with, and also to really understand some of the research that's happening and some of the goals and objectives of these different labs. So if anyone has any recommendations, I definitely welcome those. I'm very much in the planning stages. I was very fortunate to visit the National Oceanography Centre in December, which is in Southampton in the UK, and had a fantastic time with the team there, really seeing the facility and also learning about the research that's upcoming. The next big event that we have already in the schedule is, of course, Oceans MTS, which is in September this year, also in the Great Lakes. So it's really exciting to have another Great Lakes tie. That, of course, was where we had our workshop last year. We will definitely have a UG2 town hall. The topic we will be working on and decide upon soon. And then we'll likely also have an involvement with MTS with some additional activities throughout that week. The other thing there, I just want to flag that in December, we did release a post-workshop report. There's a link there. It's also available throughout the website as well, and I have shared it through Slack. If you do need a copy and you can't access it, then please do send me an email. This is a really great summary of all of the work that we did over those 3 days. Some of the different seminars and sessions are covered in that. And then we outline the action items as a community and as a steering committee that we plan to conduct over the next year or so. Next slide, Cassie. Something else that I do want to flag with everybody, we have been making some changes to the Slack. The most important thing, I think, is we've just added a brand new channel for passive acoustic monitoring. So you can find this just by searching the channels there on the UG2 Slack channel and search for hashtag PAM. Please do join this. It's brand new. I think that would be a really great conversation starter, and lots of great resources can be shared via this. So if you're working within that field or you're just interested in passive acoustic monitoring, please do join that Slack channel. The second sort of big change that we've made, and this was a direct outcome of the workshop, was a few modifications to the data channel. So the data channel has stayed the same. So if you've already subscribed to it, you've stayed subscribed. But at the top, you can see I've highlighted with a yellow circle. We now have a Canvas platform, which has the higher level DMAC announcements. So the GDAC team are working on that and sharing lots of really great information and resources and questions directly through that. So do take a look at that. That's being updated fairly regularly, actually. And then the final thing I want to mention is please do continue to share any job opportunities that come up and also any events that are upcoming. So whether that's an upcoming webinar or a workshop or a training, because I do check Slack on a daily basis and I actually transfer all of those onto the UG2 website. We do have an events calendar over there and also a job opportunities board. So we're trying to make that website really a one-stop shop where you can go and see everything that's currently available or these upcoming events. So please continue to share those. I also am very happy to share them on your behalf. So you're very welcome to email me any jobs or events. I really want to make sure that the whole community is aware of different opportunities throughout the year. And next slide, Cassie. So those are my updates. We will have a few final reminders at the end of today's webinar, but I do want to move into the bulk of the webinar and get that started. So it's with great pleasure that we welcome Dr. Alexey Mishonov to present today on the World Ocean Database. Alexey is a researcher with extensive experience in various fields of oceanography, which include ocean color, particulate organic carbon research, as well as oceanographic data management and analysis. He's participated in a development of remote sensing algorithms for particulate organic carbon estimates based on ocean color data and has published several papers on this topic. In his current position, he works on the World Ocean Database and World Ocean Atlas, which of course is the largest data repository for oceans and the most important products of the Ocean Climate Laboratory. So I will now pass over to you, Alexey. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, Georgia, for a fantastic presentation of myself. So please let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I will be talking today about World Ocean Database, which I am proud to be working on for the last 20 years or so. And recently, last November, we have published another, the most recent version release of it, the World Ocean Database 23. I put it in as a first slide because it just came out and everyone can download these volumes. So one of them is World Ocean Database Introduction and another one is World Ocean Database User Manual. So all questions you might have after my presentation can be addressed to that documents. If you will not find answer in there, so you can contact me directly. So outline of today's presentation would be how we have data in the World Ocean Database. What are we doing with the data inside the World Ocean Database ecosystem, performing data fusion and a bunch of other tasks I will touch briefly. How we use that data in-house and how everyone can have this data for their own needs and own processing and analysis and for everywhere, for anything they want, because it's a fully public available data. It's open to everyone, and we are always welcoming people to use them. So the World Ocean Database collecting data from a variety of platforms, and they are listed here. So it could be something such as the usual historical traditional bottles or CTD or expandable probes to some exotic like instrumented attached instrumental marine mammals. And of course, there is the gliders and the Argo profiles, and you can see how those data flow changed along the way. Actually, we have data as old as 1772 and as new as like today, maybe yesterday. But here you can see how different instrumental platforms evolving over the time, how they grows, how they declines, and how they goes one instead of another. And you see the recent years, we have huge increase of the glider and Argo data and some of the instrumented mammals data as well. But some traditional means still here, like this yellow, it's for XBT, and the blue for CTD. So something is still going on traditional way, which is good because we need the data to intercalibrate the others. Okay, so the World Ocean Database holds 43 different variables. So if you want something from that list, you can directly select it and have it in the profile. So everything which goes along the profiles goes to the World Ocean Database, and it can be taken out from it together with all other instruments, to other variables, and from other different region or different ships. So it's all together integrated. And as you can imagine, we have our data from all around the world. So we have 96 countries contributing to the World Ocean Database. And it's, you see this diagram, mostly, of course, it's United States, but there are plenty of other countries who are significantly contribute to the World Ocean Database, and we are very grateful for them. So it's only one example how our data flow looks like. This example for 23 years. So it's on this map, you can see different instrumental platforms data which came to us. The gray, obviously, all around the ocean, it's Argo floats. But this exotic the instrumental platforms, I consider them exotic as instrumented mammals. So they go all the way where they live, and there are plenty of them as well. The gliders being more and more popular. So you can see the green dots, it's gliders. And of course, CTD and the XBT lines and the buoys. So all this in 1 year, 2023, gave us about 360,000 casts, which brings our total data holding to 19 millions. So we have this data sources updated regularly on a quarterly basis through the GTSPP Argo program, moored buoys program, CCHDO office. We have also gliders from DAC, from IOS, from Australia, and from European data centers. So this is example only for 1 year. So you can imagine every year we have more and more, especially modern data. And this slide, I'd like to illustrate how those different instrumental platforms are evolved over the time, and we can see how the data flow was increasing, hitting the plateau, and decreasing in case of CTD and XBT and OSD is the case. And for profiling floats and for gliders, it's increasing and reaching plateau. And this yellow line or yellow arrow on the glider, it's not because the glider data was not collected. It's because we have not enough resources to process them and to put them in the World Ocean Database. So this is our fault. And most glider data in these years came from GTSPP, so automatic data exchange. The rest, it should be processed a little bit with a little bit more manual input. Okay, so this is all about the data income. And the next slide would be about the World Ocean Database ecosystem, as I said, as we call it. So as you can see, we're receiving lots of different data from everywhere. I put it in the World Ocean Database. And I will explain this red arrow in next slide. So in World Ocean Database, we are collecting data and we updating public facade of World Ocean Database every quarter. So all data which came to World Ocean database during that quarter became available for public regularly. So also we use that data for our own scientific work, which is assessing the ocean heat content, ocean salt content, and sea level anomalies, and we're also updating it quarterly. I will show the slide devoted to this later. We also produce the World Ocean Atlas. It's the main product we do release every 5 years roughly. So up to now, it's 9 releases already out, starting from 1982, and the last one was last year. So in these atlases, we producing climatologies for different variables, temperature, salinity, oxygen, and so on. And it's also published and freely available to everyone to use. Also for some regions, when we have enough data to go on a high resolution special fields, we're producing high resolution regional climatologies. We have 8 regions around USA, which we made this available. It also all on a decadal basis. And I will keep pointing that this is all available for our public without any restrictions. And for the access to the data themselves, we have several different vehicles, which I will touch a little bit later. And of course, we're also working using this data. We're participating in conferences and publishing papers, reports, and so forth. At the nearest future, we're planning to go to cloud and put everything on cloud. We hope it will make it easy to everyone to use this data, to submit the data, to communicate with data search engines, and the cloud. You can do everything on cloud when it's working. So next, this red button, which I mentioned before, this is a little bit red button open a little bit with some details. So the old data which we're receiving, they go to the NCEI archives. And then after they already archived, they have accession numbers and publicly available as a data, as a raw data, as a originator data. We're taking data which relevant to us, to oceanographic domain. So we're taking this data, we're putting them through initial quality control. Then we convert them to our format. On this conversion, we're doing, we interpolate data from regional depth levels to standard depth levels, and we're keeping both in the database. So then we're making the quality control, and everything is, if everything is good, those data are merged to the World Ocean database. And after that, those data used in the products which we generate, or somebody else in that respect. A little bit of the schematic of the World Ocean database. The main quant of the data in the World Ocean database is a cast. Cast means profile with the data. So profile have depths, have observed depths, records for variables from 1 to n, and have standard depths data for the same variables. So in OSD, we have a little bit of plankton data, and we have a secondary header for every cast, which contains all the quality control flags, our control flags, for observed levels, for standard levels, and we're also keeping the originators quality control flags, which came with data. And also we have the originators station designation. So everyone who is interested can find the originators flag and use them, or can use our flags. It's up to the researcher. So, but we are trying to keep everything possible in the database in that respect. So what we have done with this data, as I already mentioned, we are producing the World Ocean Atlas, and not that far in the past, we added another resolution. Before it was only 1 degree fields. Now it's 1.25 degree fields for temperature salinity. And we have 7 decades climatologies for these parameters. And also we have 1 degree climatologies for oxygen, silicate, phosphate, nitrates, nitrate. It's, of course, it's a less data we have available for those parameters. That's why we still in 1 degree domain with the data. So next product, which climate records from the product, it's a quarterly assessment of ocean heat content and salt content and sea level change. So this is an example we just made public last month up to December 24. So how the ocean heat content is changing on the upper 700 meters, on the upper 2000 meters. So we can see this it's not stopping. The ocean is warming all the way from 1990s, and it's already pretty high volumes. And this is just a map for the upper 2000 meters too. So you can see where the ocean is warming more than in the middle. It's all related to WA 2009 baseline. So how it's changed from 2009. And we can see the Gulf Stream area is pretty hot, and Kuroshio area is pretty warm as well. And you can see in this map, it's almost no blue colors. So it's all up. It's a little bit colder here and here, but all is orange and red. So it's very good illustration to what's going on right now in the ocean. Okay, and another product which we are working hard on this, it's 8 regional climatologies. As you can see, they're all around the North American region. We have this for North Atlantic, for Greenland, Norwegian seas, for Gulf of something here. I don't know how it's called now. And we're working on this second version of the Northeast Pacific climatology, which hopefully will be published in a couple of months. So as you can see here, it's a 6 or 7 decades, it's up to 1/10 of the degree resolution, and the climatology fields available as maps or as fields, as data files in 3 different formats. So it's all here, and any modelers can use it if so desired. And to illustrate this usefulness of our work, this is a citation index of our productions, of our publications. So you can see we're proud to see this, and we're glad we can do some impact and some input to the community. So now I will switch to how the person can get the data from World Ocean Database. So I need to underline that this underscores that this is data uniform format. They all together in one place. They quality controlled. They have a quality control flags. So I would say this is very convenient place to have the data. So we have a special web page and a tool which we call WD Select. And you have a user can have options to select data based on 14 possible criteria. And hopefully we will be able to go to online with this today. So I will just briefly show you several screens and static, which I made a copy yesterday. So this is first screen that you can select your main categories which you want to have a data. Then you can select the data or different instruments. You can check what you've got, what your selection give you, how many casts and which one in the years. So next you can see a map where your data is located, and you can see list of the cruises which are used to collect this data. And then you can check in any cruise by itself, one by one, if you want to. And then you can select the program format you want data to be set to be prepared for you. Enter your email address, and so you will receive an email. Depending on the amount of data you have selected, it can take like 5 minutes, or it can take a couple of hours for system to generate the zip files and send you an email with a link to download. So now maybe we can try and go there live. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, is it small or is it big enough? I can make it.
I think make it a bit, yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I will put it on the entire screen. So now I can try to select, like, for example, country and data set and build a query. Can take time, so but I think we have some time, right? So now we can select which data we want, and let's say we want gliders, because we are gliders community, and we want gliders from, let's say, from France, and France it's so it's working now, and we should wait a bit. I hope it will not be too long. I'll have some tea. Maybe France it was a not very good choice because France had a lot of data. So we can maybe wait a bit longer. But okay. Okay, so it may be something wrong. I don't know. It's a visit effect as usual. So if we will go to Norway. So we got 13,000 glider casts for Norway, and we can check data distribution plot over here. So we have this little bit of information on which parameters will be there. And we go to download data, so we can select whatever we want. Usually I prefer to have this data in native format because ocean data view software can understand it pretty easily. So for me to check some data, I usually do this. But you can select anything you want. But let's keep with native. So I will put my email here and we'll request extraction. And so we see it will be ready for me pretty soon. And you're done. You have the data from the ocean database. And this is, I believe this is a pretty convenient system. And if you have any question or remarks, please let us know. We will entertain your requests. And I believe on that note, I will say thank you and we'll take your questions. Hello.
Are there any questions? Alexey.
Everybody's sleeping.
Would anyone like to see some more examples? We've got plenty of time, so.
I have a question, Natalia Sidorovskaya from University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
Hi, Natalia.
Hi. Are you planning to include the extension to non-oceanographic data in the database, let's say, I don't know, wind data, wave data, wave height data, which are coming from atmospheric sensors?
No, not likely, because there is a specialized databases for the parameters. First, and second, we just only dozen people. We cannot cover everything.
Thank you.
But for the NCEI, it could be different, different department, different groups who are doing this. For example, I know some people doing a database of microplastics right now, and the same for the currents, and same probably for waves. Yeah, kind of. As I said, we cannot we cannot hug everything. We have to select ourselves, limit ourselves. Yeah, I would say.
We have a comment in the chat, Alexey, about whether we can share this
Sure.
presentation. Okay. Yes, so maybe afterwards we can send.
Yeah, you have it on your Google Drive, so
Yes,
feel free.
perfect. Yeah, we will share this with everyone afterwards.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments or experiences using World Ocean Database?
I have a question. Do you have some sort of API where people can query the database directly without having to go through your web portal?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
Probably it is, but I'm not familiar with it, so sorry.
Okay.
I have a question here. I am Maria Rita from Hensta in France. We have another database that we use here that is Coriolis, that is within Copernicus. I was wondering what is the relation among these two different databases, and if there is any relation, if you know if they work in a similar way, if there is an integration of data between the two different databases.
I believe we have I cannot say we have clone of Coriolis inside, but I believe we have lots of data from Coriolis, and Coriolis have clone of WOD. So I think those databases are interconnected.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure on which, and 100% or less, but that's sure connected.
Thank you.
Also, the World Ocean Database is a part of EN4 data array. Maybe EN4 is like 90% WOD, or maybe 95.
Any other questions?
Sure.
Comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Colin.
How does this relate to the International Quality Controlled Ocean Database? Is one derived from the other?
The International Quality Control Database is based on WOD. So it's using WOD to further enhance quality control.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
I have a question. I'm from Canada. I was wondering if you can share with us, like you got a lot of data from different countries. How did you find about the data quality when you go through the pre-QC before you ingest into the world? Do you find a lot of mistakes, or it's like roughly what kind of percentage you found?
When we're ingesting data in the World Ocean Database, first of all, this metadata check goes on the stage of the NCEI archiving. Then when it's with us, we're checking them we have a lot of different checks, like gradient checks, range checks, and metadata checks as well. So there is a lot of checks, I would say.
Do you find that you have to reflect a lot of data, or is the data that's incoming is kind of good quality?
We always keeping the original data and original flags. So our flags are only added. Like our opinion, this data is good, or our opinion data is doubtful. So the user can select which flags to trust, ours or originators. So it's open system. We're not alternating the originator data. We're just flagging them.
Okay.
And it's up to user, to decide if he agree with us or with originators, or he wants to perform his own quality control.
Okay, thank you.
Question in the chat, Alexey, what is the best workflow or route to get glider data into the system?
Sorry, I believe for the American gliders program, all glider data goes to the GDACs, or supposed to go to GDACs, and from the GDACs they're supposed to go to IOS, and IOS putting them into NCEI archive. So this is the way, like if you collected the data, you submitted them to GDAC and forget about it, and they will go to IOS, to NCEI, and then to me. So it's in that way they will be controlled in GDAC, controlled in IOS, and controlled in NCEI, and they will be assigned a session number. So you will see them publish it before they go to World Ocean Database. So you can request to receive the accession number information, and you will see them. You will easily find them in the archive. So, but as I said, we have some backlog, and I have about 200 deployments waiting for my attention to get them from archives to World Ocean Database through the IOS. And I'm not even touching the Ego, and Australian is pretty current.
Will work.
Alexey, Alexey, I have another question about, like, from a standpoint of the operator, glider operator. So when my glider comes up, that data get decimated data get on GDAC. This is my understanding, right? And so am I hearing that if we want to glider data, so there are several stages of the quality control of that data, because nobody asks us, at least we're in the real time when we transfer data, we can't do any quality controls. Like if the sensor is not calibrated correctly, so that data will be still harvested. So is my understanding correct that there are different levels of the quality control for glider data?
First of all, if it's real data, we have a marking for the data. 0, it's a real-time data, or it's a delay mode data. So for real time, you always can say, well, you can check which data we have loaded. And when data came to us as a real time mode, we put them in nevertheless, and then we're replacing them with a delay time mode when they became available. But in GDAC, I don't know what kind of goes in GDAC, maybe just the range check. And IOS, I believe, mostly dealing with metadata fullness. And same for the NCEI archives. And then when they come to us, we can see when we're loading them into the database, there comes the gradient check, the range check, the length check, and bottom check, all these checks. But we still keep the originator's data. We're just adding our quality control flags. So, but obviously we would prefer to have to deal with delay mode data, which already checked and downsized a bit. But we're doing what we can.
Alexey, I have a question for you.
Yeah, hi, Wilf.
Hi, good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to map a certain area, I'll say the Gulf of Mexico, can you have it such that you see which country or which expeditions? In other words, for each line, you can have a different color of depending upon which expedition it was.
Yeah, every cast have a metadata which shows which country, which cruise, which platform was used, and down to the sensor, which sensor. And this is all retrievable. And if you want to mark them different colors, it's all possible. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
June, do you have a question? See your hand up. If not, there's another question in the chat, Alexey, from Russ. I recall that you've done a lot of checks on institution names and other naming consistency. Is there an easy to access list of existing names, or perhaps that flows up from NCEI?
Yeah, this is the NCEI archives is holding the vocabulary, and this is some kind of this has created a problem because I see a lot of glider data submission which have names little bit spelled a little bit differently, and it's been rejected. So I believe the best source for that information would be the NCEI archives.
Yeah, so Alex, great talk. So I have a question about.
Thank you, sure.
Yeah, so I usually use the WOA, the World Ocean Atlas. So WOD looks like the actual observations. Is there a difference? If I want to use the quarter degree data set, so should I download the WOA's data set?
Yeah, if you want to use the analyzed climatology data, you use WOA because it's on a regular grid. It's passed through several quality control and optimal interpolation scheme. So it's like a fields. If you want, I can show you a couple. You saw it already, a couple of illustrations. So this is maps and as well as data fields, and you can download those data fields as netcdf or ASCII or shape files for ArcInfo. So you can play around. It also goes on 102 depth levels, so you can select whatever you want, and it also goes for 7 decades, on the months for months, and for seasons and years. So it's pretty intense collection.
So the WOD include all the in situ observations.
On WG, it's in situ data, yes, and WOA, it's analyzed data, yes, it's climatology. So, but you can directly use them in the models, like because it's already on the grid, it's already on the standard depths, so you can have your boundary values already in here.
So can you give us a little bit detail about the US observations? So so the observation funded by the government, all the data observation funded by government are in this data set?
Supposedly all data found which have funds from the government, it goes to NCEI archives.
How about the academic?
What?
For the national foundation, something like. For the other university or the other academic.
You mean other countries or?
No, from US. I'm talking about just the US.
I believe for every US data collectors have an obligation to submit data if he got some money, grants or whatever. So the data needs to be submitted. And they should be submitted in NCEI if they are related to NCEI. So I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And just to let you know that the data file already done, which is the request we did during the practice is already ready for download. So you can see it took about 15 minutes.
You just talk about the subsetting. If I want to search, for example, in the Chesapeake Bay, the observations for this year or last year's data, so can I do that?
Can you repeat? You're asking about Chesapeake data which were collected last year?
Yeah.
I don't know what the route they took from Chesapeake data collectors to the NCEI, so I cannot tell you where those data are. It's easiest way to check it would be to check the NCEI archive if you know the name of the API or name of the project. So I would start with this.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? You can also put these in the chat box. I'm happy to relay them.
Yeah, and if anyone will have a question repeating the exercises we just did, just shoot me an email. We'll be glad to help, if any. If there will be such a person.
Okay. All right, that might be the end of the questions, but if you do have any more, as Alexey said, please email him or you can write some in the chat and we can get to them at the end. But again, thank you so much, Alexey, for all your time and effort.
Thank you for your great questions. Thank you. Glad to answer any more if any.
I'll just ask Cassie to pop those slides back.
One moment.
As she does that, I just have a few updates for everybody, but we still have some time left in our sort of allocated slot today. So if anyone has any questions for me, with anything that's coming up with UG2 or any requests, then now is also a great time to ask those. But just a few final sort of business wrap-ups from me. This, of course, was our first webinar for the year. We will now move back to our regular schedule of every 2 months. So the next webinar will be in March. We are working on a few topics, but haven't finalized anything yet. But as soon as we do, we'll share that with everybody via the channels. As always, if you have any topics or speakers that you really want to hear from, please do either send me an email. My email's there on the slide, or you can also contact me directly through Slack. My goal is to make these webinars useful for the community, so that relies on you as the community reaching out with requests and ideas, and then I can work on pulling together presentations and presenters. Just want to mention again that EGO also has a webinar series. I believe their next webinar is in next month, February. Is there an update? I'm not sure if Marietta is still on the line.
Yes, we are working on it. It should be at the end of February, but is not yet. We don't have a date yet. So we will communicate when we have.
Perfect. Perfect. And we'll share that as well. So for those of you that can join their webinar series, I encourage you to do so. And then I've already mentioned this earlier, but of course, we use Slack a lot in this community. I see that certain channels have been very active recently. I really encourage you to spend time on that and ask questions, use it as a great resource. and really get the most from that. If at any point you see that we're missing or there's a gap for a channel, please do reach out. Again, I really want to make that a useful platform for all of you. And then finally, of course, we have the website. As I said, I do update those sections on there, particularly the events calendar and the jobs board very regularly. So please do use that as a resource. And again, with that, if at any point you have some great research that you want to highlight, please reach out to me because I can share that on the website as well and make sure that you get recognition for the amazing work that everybody is doing. So that's it from us. We'll finish a little early for this webinar, but I'm happy to stay for a few more minutes and answer any questions or comments if anyone has that. If not, I wish you all a great rest of your week and a really happy and healthy 2025.
Thank you, Georgia.
Thanks, Georgia and Alexey.
Hi, Russ.
Thank you. It's good, good presentations.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Thank you.